Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to a course in miracles, a course in miracles, a course in miracles, a course in right thinking, a course in how to think in a way that allow miracles to come into your life. There's a way for you to think and look at whatever you're going through right now that would allow a miracle to come into your experience, that would allow a healing to be given you. I said it again, Earl. There's a way for you to look at things that will allow all your problems that you perceive to be resolved, including that one. And you know which is that one, all right? And so, okay, let me hear this again. There's a way for me to look at things that will allow God to solve my problems. There's a way for me to look at things that would allow the universe to solve what I see as my problems. There's a way for you to interpret what's going on in your life right now that will allow the universe to resolve this issue. You know the issue that I'm talking about. You know the problem that I'm talking about. Okay? There is a way for you to be taught to look at that will allow that issue to be resolved, that will allow that problem to be resolved. And I'm going to share one of those perspectives in the Course in Miracles right now. So how do we let ourselves hear what that is? So while I'm saying this, what I would invite all of you to do is take this as a moment to just close your eyes and let yourself just hear what I'm saying, because it sets up the correct attitude to have so that you can hear what I'm about to say, which is, you only need to remember that you don't have to believe these ideas I'm about to give you from A Course in Miracles. You don't have to accept these ideas that I'm about to give you from A Course in Miracles. You don't have to even welcome the ideas that I'm about to give you from A Course in Miracles. Some of the ideas, you may actively resist some of the ideas that I'm about to give you. You might actively resist some of the ideas that I'm about to give you from A Course in Miracles. You may actively resist some of the ideas that you hear from A Course in Miracles. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. Some of the ideas might startle you. If you want to get this quick, realize you don't have to judge and analyze the ideas. Do you know that judging and analyzing the Course in Miracles makes it harder to understand? Do you know judging and analyzing the Course in Miracles makes it harder to understand? When you judge and analyze the Course in Miracles, it makes it hard to understand the Course in Miracles. It's the use of the ideas that will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. It is the use of the ideas that will give the ideas meaning to you and show you that the ideas are true. It's the use of the ideas that will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. We're going to be on lesson 47 in the workbook, in the Course in Miracles, lesson 47, which is God is the strength in which I trust. 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 God is the strength in which you trust. So what is another name? So what would be another name for God?
Love.
Love. And another name in addition to that is the strength in which I trust. So just remember, he just said God is the strength in which I trust, right? So whatever it is, the strength in which you trust, would that also mean that's your God? So if money is the strength in which you trust, money is your God. If being liked is the strength in which you trust, being liked is your God. If having your job is the strength in which you trust, then having your job is your God. Had you thought about looking at it that way? That's interesting, isn't it? Because all of a sudden you see what your own idols are, right? So God really, but what we're saying is we want to get rid of every block that would keep us from realizing that God is the strength in which I trust. I want to trust in God. One of the craziest things that happen a lot when you teach a class, the Course in Miracles, which really is about healing your relationship with God, is that the one term that people will tell you they have the most resistance to and don't want to hear you say is God. That's kind of wild when you think about it. It's like it's a class on God that you better not mention God. And then everybody, but if you mention God, people get bent out of shape sometimes. And what they don't realize is that it's not God that's causing the resistance. What's causing their resistance is the judgments that they have about the word God. What they're resisting is what they were taught and what they believe about God. So they're really getting upset because of the definition that they're giving God. So what the Course is doing is trying to allow us to have things resolved for us. I want to stop trying to figure out how to handle all this crazy stuff and all the stuff that's going on in my life and going on in everybody else's life. I want to resign as my own teacher. I want to be taught by something smarter than me. I want to meet more people who want to believe in something higher than their own ego and want to hear with God. I want to learn with other students and people who want to let go of their blocks and take responsibility for their experience. I want to join with people who are willing to admit that they make mistakes and they don't see things perfectly and they need to learn how to forgive, they need to learn how to see things differently. But most of all, I want to meet and join with more and more people who want to love and want to be loved and want to know what love feels like. They want to get out of their head and get also into their heart. So the Course keeps saying you need to ask for what you want and stop assuming that Spirit knows what you want in such a way that you don't have to ask. And then I went, okay, I know that's true. Spirit would have to know what I want without me having to ask. So then I asked, well, then why should I ask? It says, well, that is going to remind you of God. Every time you ask God, it's going to remind you of your relationship with God. Every time I ask, it's going to remind me that I'm not alone. So asking is really, for primary asking outwardly, is to help support my faith, to make me stronger in my faith. Okay, so the Course says on lesson 47, page 75, in the workbook, it says, the Course says, read me slowly. And it says, if you are trusting in your own strength, if you're trusting in your own strength, if you're trusting in your own strength, then you have every reason to be apprehensive, anxious, and fearful. So this is the way you work that out. Then you flip it back and you go, I'm feeling afraid, and I'm feeling anxious, and I'm feeling fearful in whatever area of my life that I'm feeling that way in right now. So then I take a minute to go, okay, well, where in my life do I have fear right now? Where in my life am I feeling apprehensive, wondering what's going to happen next? The Course says, well, the reason why you're feeling the fear, like let's say if a person has a financial fear, it says the reason why you're feeling the fear doesn't have anything to do with the money. The reason why you're feeling fear is you're trusting in your own strength. The reason why you feel fear is you're trusting in yourself to get the money, or you're trusting in yourself to do the forgiveness alone, or you're trusting in yourself only to know God. And I'm going to go slow with this because we could read at home by ourselves. There's no need for you to come here if I don't get a chance to be more helpful in terms of looking at this another way. Because I really appreciate you all taking the time to come, because you could just sit at home and watch it or watch it later. So I really want you to know that I know that takes extra effort, and I appreciate that. Okay, then the Course goes, what can you predict? What can you control? So this is how you get honest with yourself. Can anybody in here tell me exactly, in detail, no abstract metaphysical stuff, in detail, what you will be doing exactly at 1:10 tomorrow?
No.
Good. Okay. Well, then, makes sense that I would be apprehensive, anxious, and fearful. Because if I don't know, you know what I'm going to do? You know what the average person is going to do? They're going to start imagining what might be happening tomorrow. And guess what? If that person is in a depressed, fearful mood, what do you think they're going to imagine might be happening for them tomorrow? Something bad. Right. And what would happen if you were a being that you perceived, whatever you believe, then you would create something in your perception tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So what is the point of this? He's saying, what is there in you that can be counted on? What is it in you that you can tell me I can 100% count on in you 100% of the time? I would like for you all to tell me what that is. What is it in you that can be absolutely counted on? Nothing. In terms of Earl Purdy personality. Understand who I'm talking about now. I'm talking about the us that pays bills. Okay. Then it says, what would give you the ability to be aware of all facets of any problem and to resolve all facets of any problem in such a way that only good can come of it? So what would give you the ability to be able to solve every aspect of any problem, and how good would you be at solving every aspect of any problem with the absolute certainty that only good is going to come out of it, that this is going to turn out perfectly well? What is it that you can solve every aspect of and be absolutely sure that it's going to turn out exactly that would be the best for everybody? What is it in you that can be counted on? And what is it that you can predict, and what is it that you can control? What is it that you can really predict? And he goes, what is it that you can really control? You know, after 40 years of working with the Course, I realized all of the defenses in A Course in Miracles is about not hearing A Course in Miracles. Because what it's saying, and people tell me I can't understand what it's saying. Well, it's saying, do you feel an apprehension? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel some anxiety? Well, then you're trusting in you. You're trusting in your, and I like to say you're trusting in your ego. You're trusting in your ego. Okay, you're trusting in you. You're trusting in your ego. Your ego is your self-concept. So you're trusting in the concept of yourself that you have to be able to handle this problem. Earl, as I told Earl to be, he should be able to solve his problem. But Earl is feeling some anxiousness, some apprehension, and some fear. Well, then that means that Earl isn't really trusted in all that is. Earl isn't really trusted in God. Earl is not really trusted in God, and you are not really trusted in God. Where are you not trusted in God? Well, you're not trusted in God where you feel apprehension, anxious, and afraid. So wherever area of your life you feel that way, you're not trusted in God. And some days, I feel that way in every area of my life. And that's the day, what am I doing? I'm trusting in my own strength. So what would be smart for me to say is, on those days that I'm fearful or worrying, what would be smart for me to say is, doggone it, this is another one of those days that I'm trusting in my own strength. In this situation with my boss, I'm trusting in my own strength. In this situation with my health, I'm trusting in my own strength. In this financial situation, I'm trusting in my relationship right now. I feel some fear, some jealousy, some insecurity. I am trusting in my own strength. Or you could say, this is a day I'm really trusting in my ego. This is the day I really am trusting in my ego. And I know every area of my life pretty much that I'm trusting in my ego right now. Do you know yours? Okay. If you'd like some help in realizing what that area is, let me tell you. It's the area that you've not been able to solve, that you're most afraid about, where you have the most apprehension about, and where you're most anxious. Where that is in your life is where you are most in control. That's the area of your life that you have not given up to spirit at all. I'm not saying this to make you feel bad. I'm actually saying this. Don't forget our purpose. Our purpose is to get to the point where we get out of the way so that God's spirit in the universe can resolve all our problems for us and bless us. We're doing this so that we can have an easier life. We're doing this so we can have an easier life. We're doing this so that we can have an easier life. That's why, but how do you have an easier life? Well, you have to know what you're doing that you don't know you're doing that's not really helping you. So that's why I break it down like this. I could rush, but I really, if I could walk out of here today and if I feel upset and afraid about something, I can remember to say to myself, oh, okay, I'm trusting in my own strength right now. That's what fear is. Fear means trusting in your own strength separate from God. Fear is trusting in human strength. Trusting in your human strength. Your strength as a separate human being, that's what you're trusting in. And where you're trusting in that, Earl, that's where you feel the most apprehension, that's where you feel anxious, and that's where you feel afraid. Then it says, what is there in you that gives you the recognition of the right solution? And not only what is it that gives you that gives you the recognition of the right solution, the Course says, what is it in you as an ego that could guarantee that the right solution will be accomplished? What is it in you? I love it. What is it in you that can recognize the right solution to this issue? And also, what in you can actually guarantee that you're going to be able to accomplish the right solution? The truth is said to us, not only is it think about who is it in you that can absolutely recognize what the right answer is, also, can you guarantee that now you have the right answer, that you will be able to accomplish the right answer? So when people say the Course isn't practical, if I'm not mistaken, and I know you all were here with me and watching online, did it just ask us some questions?
Yeah.
Right? So it's giving us very specific instructions. So I'm willing to tell you so that I can have things go easier in my life and be helpful to others. I'm willing to tell you that there's not anything that I can totally predict and control. There is not anything in my ego that you can count on. I am not aware of every facet of every problem, and I don't know how to solve every problem in such a way that I know only good is going to come out of it for everybody. I want to admit there's nothing in me that really, as an ego separate being, that's aware of the right solution in every situation. And even if you give me the right answer, I'm not going to guarantee that I know how to do it. So when you do that, you heal your body. You heal your emotions. You heal your mind. Whenever you tell yourself the truth, it's good for you and it heals you. So admitting what you already know is true benefits you. You know you don't know how to solve everybody's problems in every aspect of it, in every facet of it. You know you can't predict exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. So when you tell the truth, you heal. When you lie, you die.
Okay.
That should be on a t-shirt. Because sometimes some people you lie to, they'd be glad to help you die. They'll be the agent of your death because of a lie. Okay? So, would anybody in here care to admit that the same thing I just said, you admit that that's true about your own ego?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Good. But see, when we do it, when we acknowledge it out loud, it's more powerful. When we don't assume it, it's more powerful, right? So then it says, here's the answer. Of yourself, you can do none of these things. So if you believe that you can predict, control, solve everything, handle everything by yourself, the Course says, then you put your trust where your trust is unwarranted. So I don't trust egos. I don't trust people. I don't trust people. I don't trust people. I want you to hear what I'm saying. Which is the exact same thing as saying I do not trust egos. I do not trust people who think they're separate from me, and I do not trust people who think they're separate from God, and I don't trust people who think they're all alone, and I don't trust people who think they have to figure out everything on their own, and I don't trust people who think they're bodies. I don't trust people who don't remember their spiritual identity. I don't trust them. And you shouldn't, because they are not completely dependable. They are not completely consistent. People who think they're separate and think they're bodies and think they're people do not love unconditionally. So it's stupid to trust people, because if you do, you're going to freak out when people let you down, and they are going to let you down. because they are not aware of who they really are, so they're going to be inconsistent. What does that mean? It means people will be trusting in their own strength. Have you noticed that we are taught that what defines you as an adult is how well you can handle everything by yourself? We are totally programmed that if you are self-sufficient, if you are autonomous, if you can figure out everything on your own, that makes you wise and it makes you an adult. So we are training ourselves to never let anything be done for us by spirit and to have anything easy. Because we are programmed to believe we have to do it all alone. And if you believe that you have to do it all alone, it'll look like you're having to do it all alone. And you'll be one of these people complaining about nobody's helping me, nobody's supporting me. Well, you believe you are on your own, that you got to do it by yourself, that somehow you can predict and control everything, and you know what the right answer is, so you're trusting in your own strength, and that's going to make you feel afraid. Not how big the bill is. Okay, you with me? So, so whenever you're trusting in somebody you shouldn't be trusted in, every time you're trusting in something that you shouldn't be trusting in, what do you feel? Fear, anxiety, depression, anger, and sorrow. Whenever I'm trusting in my ego, I feel what? Fear. What else? Anxiety, depression, anger, and sorrow. So I'm mad at my mama. I'm trusting in something I shouldn't be trusting in. That's why I'm mad at my mama, because I think I by myself can solve the relationship that I'm having this problem with my mama. And so as soon as I believe I'm the one that can handle a problem all by myself, what I'm going to create for myself is fear, anxiety, depression, anger, and sorrow. This sounds like I'm getting answers. What about you, Trish? Does it sound like you're getting answers? Does it sound like to you all we're being told exactly what's going on? And is it also something that you be honest, you really wasn't thinking that way?
Probably not.
Right, so that means if it's something we haven't thought of, it must be right. Right. Now you have correct perception.
Right.
Like people go, well, how do you have correct perception? Well, you see things correctly. What is seeing things correctly? Every time you trust in something beside God and believing you got to do it all on your own without tapping into something bigger than yourself, it's going to give you fear and apprehension, and it's going to disappoint you, and you realize that now, so now you see the situation correctly. If I see you as a person who sometimes might be loving and sometimes might be afraid, so therefore you might be angry and upset sometimes, then I am seeing you correctly. If I saw a human being as a person that I could always consistently think they're going to behave a certain way all the time, then I'm seeing you how? Incorrectly. And so what's going to happen if I see you incorrectly? The Course says, well, pain comes from deceiving yourself. I love that line. It's a workbook lesson. He says, pain is proof of self-deception. That when a person's in pain, that's the proof they're lying to themselves about something, or they're deceiving themselves about something. So whenever I'm in pain, I tell myself, Purdy, you're deceiving yourself about something right now. You're lying to yourself some kind of way. You're telling yourself something that's not true. How do I know? Because I'm in pain. And I would mean, even if it's physical pain, it still is proof that I'm deceiving myself some kind of way. Now, because I've studied the Course for so long, one of the ways I know I'm deceiving myself when I have physical pain, and it may not make any sense to you if you're new to the Course, but it means that I am thinking that I am a physical body. He says whenever you believe you are the body, then you're going to try to prove to yourself you're the body, and you prove yourself to be the body by how much pain you go through and how much joy you go through. So pain is the way that we make ourselves think we're a body. You know, I had a knee pain because I hit my knee. But see, what I said to myself after so many years ago, oh, you're deceiving yourself again. You're trying to make yourself think you're a body, and then I go put something on if I need to. Because what's important is that to allow God to help me, I got to start telling the truth about who I am. And if I say I'm going to obey God, then it means that I have to be willing to listen to the words of truth and then apply it to myself. So every time I tell myself I'm hurting because I'm believing I am a physical body, what does that do? It reminds me that I'm not. See what I mean? If I say, oh, I'm hurting right now, and to make myself think I'm a body, well, then all of a sudden, that must open up the possibility that I might be more than a body. See, the Course, people think the Course in Miracles is putting the body down. Actually, what the Course in Miracles is doing is healing your body. It's trying to give you the correct perception of your body so it can be healed. I'll say it again. The Course is trying to give us the correct perception of the body so the body can be healed. Or giving us the correct perception of our financial. Because it says you can apply it to anything. That's why you hear me bring up stuff like money as well as spirit. Because I don't have any use for a teaching that doesn't help me with the things it looks like I deal with on a day-to-day basis, whether they're an illusion or not. Y'all hear me? I don't want to study a book that tells me not to pay any attention to the things that I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis. What I wanted to do is tell me how to look at the things that I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis and how to deal with the way that I see it. So it's telling me that, well, if you're worried, if you're afraid, then your problem is you're trusting in you and not God. You're trusting in you and not the Spirit. So get honest with yourself in the areas that you're having challenges in, and get honest with yourself and say to yourself, I'm trusting in my own strength in this area. You constantly having a relationship issue, it's because both of you all think that you got to come up with the answer on your own and try to work this out, and it's not working because you're not trusting in God. You're not trusting in love. You're not trusting in the love. You're not trusting in the love. Wow. Then it says, who can put his faith in weakness and feel safe? If I think somebody could destroy me in a second because I'm putting my faith in weakness, which is I am a body, then I'm not going to walk. I don't care how spiritual some people say they are in the Course. And now I say to them, okay, there's some parts of town I want you to go into tomorrow night at 2 o'clock a.m. and then tell me about it. You don't have any fear, okay? You don't have any fear. Okay? The Course is saying, how can you think you're a body and not have fear? How can you think you're something that could have disease, something that could be cut, something that could be shot, something that could be ran over? How could you think you are that? And the Course is saying, how can you think you're that and not feel weak? It would be unusual not to feel weak. I think I'm a body, therefore I feel weak. I think I'm a body, so therefore I feel weak. Why? Because the body is so fragile, and the body can be so easily destroyed and hurt. This is what this book says. I go, don't you dare tell me the truth this straight up. That's why the ego rebels against the Course. The Course in Miracles is the strangest thing in the world to teach. Because you don't know how many times people will say to you, it was everything they wanted to hear, and it helped them, I don't know how much, and it transformed their experience, and you never see them again. And that doesn't mean that they're not in it because I don't see them again. But in my experience, I've noticed that people give more attention to what does not resolve their issue and make them feel better than they have a tendency to focus their energy into where they're getting the answer. I see people put more attention into people who are not giving them love, especially in special relationships, than I see them put any energy in the friends that are being loving. Many a guy in the friend zone could tell you that most of the time he's in the friend zone talking to his female friend who is complaining because the boyfriend she has is not exemplifying any of the qualities that she would like to have in terms of appreciating her, acknowledging her, being kind to her. You sitting right there next to him. Right there next to him. But all the qualities, because that's what they call you their friend. Because they're saying there's something about you that makes them feel safe, and they feel like they're being acknowledged by you, and you're just this guy that seems to be giving them everything they wish their boyfriend would, who they're fussing and arguing with, and loving them up every night, hoping that'll work. Why? Because that's what the ego does. The ego in all of us always makes us chase what's not there and then makes us overlook what we can have now. Whew. But if you are a guy who's conscious and you're in that position of being seen as the friend zone while you're listening to the other, you be a loving, compassionate, helpful friend to your female friend, and you patiently know that the Holy Spirit is going to send you a person that recognizes you're exactly what they want, and they're exactly what you like to be, and you all start giving all that love and attention to where it already is and where it's located. But then you have to be patient. See, you have to be patient because you're still going to be friends to many people who are still not seeing the love that's right in front of them, but still chasing the love that they don't seem to have. But when you wake up, you don't really want to be with a person like that anyway. Who would want to form a relationship with someone that doesn't recognize them and see their value and who's acknowledging them and love it? Once you begin to love yourself, man, wouldn't nothing in the world make me want to get with a woman that didn't appreciate me. Now, I don't care what she looks like. I don't care how much money she has. I don't care if she got the latest body that you're supposed to like. And I say woman because that happens to be my preference. But in this day of people feeling like you leave, look, I don't even believe I'm a man. I don't even believe that anymore after 50 years. I'm just presenting myself that way so that people can relate to me without feeling like either I'm crazy or, you know what I'm saying? Because that interferes with me trying to get a message across to you if I got to convince you I'm not crazy. So if I say stuff really opposite to what you already believe is true, the temptation would be to see me as crazy, right? So I present myself to people the way that would give the least amount of fear. So I'm never operating on the highest level that I'm capable of. I'm always operating on the level that I feel will create the most peace. And we're all equal and we're all doing that. So nothing that I'm saying is coming from a position of superiority. I'm just giving you the benefit of my experience. So if I'm worried about whether or not I'm ever going to have the perfect person come up in my life, then I'm trusting in me to get her. So therefore I go out hunting for the woman or the partner or whoever it is, right? Why? Because I'm trusting in my own strength. I believe I know what's best for me. I believe I can predict and control the situation. So guess what? Now I'm jealous. I'm with somebody I feel jealousy, I feel insecure, I feel unhappy with. Why? Because I was trusting in my own strength and I believed I knew what was best for me more than spirit does. So then he says in the next paragraph, it says, God is your safety in every circumstance. Does that include the circumstance you're in right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that qualify? Does that pass the test game? Okay, you mean this circumstance that I'm dealing with that I was thinking about right before I came over here? God is my safety? You mean even though they say there's global change, climate change, and there's going to be all kind of political and economic and worldly disasters and things to watch out for, and wars and rumors of wars and diseases, all this stuff that I'm being extraterrestrials coming here seeing us like a snack. I've been telling people don't be sending them those beacons out in space, letting these beings know where we at. That's like ringing a dinner bell for some beings. It's like, oh, you want to eat? Y'all been hungry? Earth. Do you like dog meat? Earl. So I have to laugh because the Course in Miracles teaches that the way we got in a world full of fear that we're in right now, and the way what made us incarnate here was we forgot to laugh. We don't laugh enough. We don't let it. We take this too seriously. And so that's what makes it hard. Because it is kind of funny, that when I hit my knee, oh my God, I think I'm a body. I really, really think I'm a body because it feels like that really hurt. And because I felt that pain, that made me think this must be me because I feel this pain. See what I'm saying? So I couldn't possibly be an unlimited spiritual awareness and consciousness that's beyond this physical body because I got a toothache. And if I really want to have the experience of being with you and me and you having a relationship with each other to the exclusion of everybody else, okay, then I have got to limit you to being in this body so I can have this exclusive relationship with you. So the way we even do special love relationships limits our perception of each other because we got to keep each other as being human beings and not spiritual beings in order for me to have you to myself. I got to keep you in that body so I can have you, which means this body, to myself. And that's what happens in most situations that people talk about monogamy. What it's usually rooted in, more than anything else that I've ever seen, is sexual exclusivity. You can go to the movie with somebody else. You might be able to walk to the park with somebody else. You could watch a TV show with somebody else. But the one thing you better not do with anybody else is what you do with joining the bodies. Now, just tell me, now, am I getting too real? Okay, the Course is saying the reason why we go through so much is that in our relationships, we're limiting each other in our perception of what we are with each other. If I saw you as the love and the light being and the unlimited spirit that you are, then I would have love beyond my wildest dreams. As a matter of fact, I would trust the love and know the love so much that I wouldn't be afraid and apprehensive because I would believe our relationship was divine and God-centered, truth-centered. So then it says, God's voice speaks for God in all situations and in every aspect of all situations. What in the heck did I just hear? I just heard that there's a voice that will tell me what to do in every situation. There's a voice that will tell you what to do in every situation. It will tell you what, notice it said the voice will tell you what to do. But when I used to hear that, I would think it was talking about the voice would tell me what to do in terms of saying, go to the phone and call that person up and have this dialogue to try to straighten this thing out, right? That's what you're thinking, right? But that's not what it says. It says his voice, God's voice, her voice, its voice, whatever word will work by you, speaks for God. Love's voice speaks for love. The Creator's voice speaks for the Creator in all situations and in every aspect of all situations. But what is it going to do? My voice is going to tell you exactly what to do to call upon my strength and my protection. In other words, yeah, I'm telling you what to do. I'm not telling you what to do right off with you talking to your boss. What I'm telling you what to do is what you need to do to call on my protection. I know what you think you're going through, but I'm going to tell you what you need to do to call on my protection. I'm going to tell you how to call on my love. I'm going to tell you how to call on my protection. He says you should be listening for God's voice to tell you how to call on God. That you should be using God's voice to tell you how to call on God's protection, and even more than that, God's strength. Because he says God's strength is God's protection. See, God's strength is God's protection. So I need to call on the strength of love, and I need to call on the protection of love. That's what I should be doing in situations that I feel apprehensive and frightened. But I don't do that. I'm waiting for Spirit to tell me again something that I need to do. I'm always waiting for God to tell me, or the Spirit to tell me tell me what I need to do, because, I'm in charge. So you tell me what I need to do. Of course, no, I'm not going to tell you what you need to do. I'm going to tell you what you need to do to get my protection and my love to working and operating in your life. And how do you know you're not doing it? Well, because you feel fearful, apprehensive, and upset, which means you're trusted in your own strength, which means you're trusted in the part of you that you absolutely can't depend on, that can't really predict and control nothing. So why wouldn't you be afraid if you're listening to the part of you that can't do nothing? I'm like, wow, okay, all right, that sounds reasonable. What about you all? Does anybody getting any answers? Any glimmering of light coming through as to why you're not blissfully blissed out? And then when I watch the news, it just tells me more things I need to be apprehensive about that I try. You know, I don't need to know somebody got hit by a car in New Delhi.
No.
I don't need to hear about everything that goes wrong in any part of the world all the time. I don't live there in this physical body. So what does that do? It's something else that I think I ought to be trying to handle and take care of. It's something else I think I should be able to help the people over there too. So now I've added even more that I trust in my own strengths should know how to do. Y'all let me know when I lose you, because I don't mind I don't mind responding and say, hey, you lost me there. I'll say it another way. It's too simple, and it makes it hard to understand. It's too simple, so it makes the Course in Miracles hard to understand. And guess what else it is? It's too obvious. There's nothing I've said that this book has said that y'all know is not true. We know we can't predict and control everything. We know we don't know how to answer everything that comes up in every facet of it. We know that we've been taught to just trust in our own selves. We know that we think we're human bodies that live a certain number of years and then you die. We know that there's a part of us that thinks I am this body. So nothing is said is anything that I have any problem saying to anybody, because it's obviously the truth. Then it says, so what is it that God is going to tell you? It says, well, God is going to tell you exactly what to do to call on God, and that means to call on God's strength and protection. And guess what? Guess who's not left out? You aren't. There are no exceptions. You mean even Earl Purdy is included, that I can be told, no matter what I think I've done, no matter what shame I think I have, no matter what I think I feel guilty about, no matter how inadequate I might feel in some area, that I'm not going to be left out. I can also at any time call on love, strength, and love's protection. Why don't you think people do that? Like everything I just said, why do you not do it? Why is it that you won't remember that you should be wanting to be learning how to have the protection of God more than focusing in on what you want God to tell you to solve one of your many everyday problems that you're dealing with? Because if I had the protection of God, the protection of love, none of those things could have any effect or any power in my life to block my good anyway.
Yes, that's nice.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, why go, why try to get one bar of candy when you could own the whole candy factory? It's like, wait a minute, if Earl could get smart enough to learn how to call on God's protection in any situation, then it really don't matter what I'm going through, and it don't matter what's going to happen tomorrow, and it doesn't matter what problems are going to show up in my life, because I've learned how to call on the protection of the universe. I've learned how to call on the protection of God. So what I need to be working on is learning how to call on that protection and getting out the way to being able to hear that protection. So I want to join with people who want to work with me on the real problem, which is my not listening to the voice of God, my not listening to how I can call on God's protection or God's love. Any question about what I said?
Well, if I ask for God's protection, do I have to hear an answer to know that it's happening, or is it just automatic?
Well, what I'm hearing is that what I should be working on is being able to hear the direction about how to call on him, right? And anything after that is going to be individualized. This is the way I see it. Because how you get to the point that you're able to call on his protection or her protection or its protection, that part is going to be an individual curriculum. So that might differ from person to person. But the thing that's the same is I need to learn how to call on God's protection, love. And you hear me interchange, love's protection. Because I was journaling this morning, and one of the things that gave me great peace was to recognize from the Course that there's nobody that in the world who thinks that they are separate that knows what real love is and how to do real love. So it was easier for me to forgive people who I realized didn't love me in the first place and didn't even know what love is. So it made me easier to forgive in the time I've given myself pain through somebody in the past because I was trusting them when I shouldn't have. And I should never trust a human being that thinks they're separate. I'll say that to you all again. Might get pushback. I don't care. That's the truth. And you know it's the truth because your life experience has never shown you a totally consistent human being 24 hours a day, all the time. You haven't met one in the physical body if you're being honest. I know you can make a big abstract metaphysical joke and come up with metaphysically why they must reach or whatever. Who cares? The point that I'm making is that if I want to stop worrying about this problem that I'm dealing with right now, I need to learn how to call on God's protection. And there is no exception, so I've got to stop leaving myself out of the good stuff. Stop leaving yourself out of the good stuff. He says, and because God has no exceptions, and the voice which speaks for God, the voice which speaks for love, the voice that speaks for love, things like love does. So if I'm going to speak for love, then I got to think in a loving way. If I'm going to speak for freedom, then I got to think freedom. So today we're going to try to guess what's going to happen today. He says we're going to try. What is it we're going to try? To reach what? Past our own weakness. So what are we about to try to do? Reach past our own weakness. Where are we trying to go? To the source of real strength. What are we doing? Trying to reach past our own weakness. So where are we heading? To the source of our strength. Okay, so I'm going to be taught right now how to reach past. You're going to be taught how to reach past any weakness that you think you have. How do you go past your weakness? By focusing your attention on going to real strength. You don't try to not focus on your weakness and go to real strength. What happens is when you are going toward real strength, you are reaching past your weakness. So all you have to focus on is, I want to go toward real strength. I want to go toward, not spend all my time, well, how am I going to get over my weakness? How am I going to get over my weakness? Well, all I got to do is reach toward real strength. So how do we do it? Well, you just need, he says, just 4-5 minute practice periods. If you can do this 20 minutes a day, 5-minute practice periods. I know this is a lot. I know your favorite TV show. You got some movies you've been trying to catch up on. I know you got things to do. But could you give 20 minutes to having all your problems in your perception be solved? Would you be willing to get rid of all your worries, all your cares, all your anxieties, so that you can enjoy your experience? Would you be willing to consider 5 minutes? Okay? And then it says, longer and more frequent ones are urged. So if you feel like you want to do more than that, that's great. What do you do? Here you do. Because people always ask me, what do you do? Well, I hear what you're saying, Earl, but what do you do? I'm telling you what to do. I'm telling you for 4 times, for 5 minutes, or maybe more, what you do if you want to get out of the anxiety, if you want to get out of the problem, if you want to give yourself the peace in this situation, close your eyes as usual by repeating the idea for the day, which is, God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. So whenever you see God in the course, you could also substitute the word love, or you could also substitute the word truth. So truth is the strength in which I trust. Did y'all get a different vibe when you say that? Love is the strength in which I trust. So I will not trust any of your egos, but I will definitely trust your spirits. I trust you all's spirit. Don't trust your ego. Do not trust your personality self. Do not trust your human self. I don't. Do I trust? Does the spirit in me trust the spirit in you? Absolutely. Absolutely. So Then it says, spend a minute or two in searching for situations. I love this. Spend a minute or two in searching for situations in your life which you have invested with fear. And okay, do you have, like you said, I know it's hard, but I want you all to search. I love how I say search your minds up. We don't have the stuff we wish were different right on the top of our minds all the time. We're always thinking about, the situation that's causing us fear or worry. That's what people think about. They call it thinking, but it's really worrying. And so don't you see the humor? Spend a minute or two searching for it, right? Searching for something you're upset about, searching for something you're afraid of. And then he goes, what should you do with your fear? You dismiss it. What? You dismiss that fear. You dismiss that anger. Then your mind goes, well, how do you dismiss that fear? And how do you dismiss that anger? Isn't that a reasonable question? Then the Course says, by telling yourself, I know this is hard. God is the strength in which I trust. You know what my ego says? It can't possibly be that simple. It can't. But remember what you're trying to do. Don't forget the goal. He said it earlier. What I'm trying to do is teach you how to call on my strength. So don't forget that. And my what? Protection. So the Course is saying you need to say God is the strength in which I trust, not because of you thinking that you got to figure out how you got to trust God. He says, no, saying God is the strength in which I trust is what I'm telling you to tell yourself to call on my strength and my protection. You're looking for me to tell you about how to deal with the situation that you're dealing with, which is called the plumber. Right? You're looking for what is the best plumber. Right? You know what I'm saying? That's innocent. He said, but if you weren't trusting in your own strength, then you would get the perfect plumber. See, the truth is going to take care of every level that we think we live on, but we need to start doing what we're told. And so it's saying to us, okay, you want to learn how to call on God's strength and God's protection, right? Then the Course says, okay, I'm going to tell you how to call on God's strength and God's protection. What I want you to do is I want you to think about the things you've been worrying about, think about the things you're upset about, think about the things you're concerned about. I want you to do that. I don't want you to repress your worries. I don't want you to pretend you don't have your worries. I'm actually telling you to freaking look for your worries. I'm asking you to bring your anger to me. I'm asking you to express your concerns to me. Don't you hear what I'm saying? I'm saying I want you to search the situations or relationships and the people in your life which you have invested. Notice that term, invested with fear. And then says, and you dismiss it by telling who? Yourself. You mean not telling my boyfriend? No. It's not telling my girlfriend? No. It's not about telling my boss? No. It's not about me trying to tell everybody else what they need to do? No. I told you, tell yourself. And then he goes, all right, what do I tell myself? What do I tell myself? Aha! God is the strength. Stop. God is the strength in which I don't care whether you trust, none of y'all. Y'all don't have to trust anything y'all hear. Because I know the same voice that's directing me is directing you. I know I'm not special. I know God didn't make a voice just for me. So I know you're going to get your guidance and you'll accept the truth whenever you get ready. But the book told me, and I want you to get it because you are me. That's the other trip. Yeah. But the thing that's a trip is I'm not being asked to do anything I couldn't do today. There is nothing this lesson is telling me that I couldn't do right now if I wanted to. And my ego, wrong mind, needs you to give me an answer that's only going to work in the future. See, because then that gives me more time to mess around and punish myself a little while longer. Okay, so there you go. If you really want to get another experience of A Course in Miracles, pay attention to the fact that it teaches in pictures as well as words. When you listen to it, you can see it almost like it's being acted out in front of you. Spend a minute or two in searching for situations in your life in which you have invested with fear. Dismissing each one by telling yourself, God is the strength in which I trust. So why are you saying God is the strength in which I trust? I'm going to say I'm a divine repetition teacher. Because this is what the Creator is telling us to do, to call on its strength and protection. I'm going to keep saying that, because if I don't say that to myself, I'll still think that this isn't going to work unless I believe it. I think in order for me to have this strength and protection, I got to really believe this. And he said, no. To allow yourself to have the strength and protection, what you need to do is just tell yourself this. And we already covered at the beginning of the class, at the beginning of the workbook, we said, remember only this. You need not believe the idea. So let go of this idea that your belief is what's going to determine whether or not you get God's help. You got to let go of your belief that your faith is necessary for you to receive God's help. Now, your belief in faith is necessary to try to get the help of human beings. Human beings help you conditionally. They're the ones that I got to believe in you, and I got to have faith in you, and you got to have faith in me. It's like, God doesn't operate that way. The Course is telling us that the truth is, I'm already telling you that I know you can't solve your problem. The truth is, I'm telling you that you need to recognize you can't solve your problem. And your problem is you don't know how to let me do nothing for you. Because you think you're the one that should be doing it, so you're trusting in your own strength. And since you're trusting in your own strength, you're not allowing the universe to solve a damn thing that you're going through. And then the Course turns around and says, well, all I want you to do then, since you're wearing all the time anyway and thinking that you need to handle everything anyway, well, then I want you to search your mind and bring those things up so that everything that you're thinking right now that's causing you fear and worry and concern right now, I want you to dismiss it. And how do you dismiss it? It says, well, just by telling yourself, God is the strength in which I trust. I've already told you don't have to understand this. I've already told you don't have to believe this. So why don't you just do what I'm telling you to do? I'm stop right here.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I'm not going to rush through any of these lessons because they will blow your mind. I've been doing this a long time. Did y'all get a kind of a fresh perspective of that lesson? Me too.
Great.
It's me too. Something about doing the course directly with a group of us who really want to hear it, it speeds us at light speed. You don't have any idea how much you're going to see this work. Because it doesn't depend on you, it will work. How do I know this is going to work? It doesn't depend on you. Don't make it dependent on you. If you want to see something work, stop depending on you. Why? Because you already believe you can't depend on you. That's why you're afraid and anxious. Because if you thought you were adequate, you would never have any fear about what you could do. So your fear is letting you know you don't believe that you're adequate already. So the Course is saying, well, don't depend on that self. That's the same thing. The fact that you don't want to depend on you, that's a show of strength. But my metaphysical mind would say, well, you don't want to say you can't depend on yourself because most of the metaphysical New Thought books I've read were telling me more than anything I just needed to depend on myself. I said, but you're missing the point. It says you should depend on yourself. It didn't say you should depend on your ego. And your ego thinks it's yourself. So when you hear stuff like that, you think when it says you are God, then your ego says, I am God. Well, you know your ego don't even know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. It's worried about getting paid. You know what I'm saying? It's like the stupid, really. But we know it's the ego. It's the ego. And what is the ego? The ego is nothing but, the Course says, your self-concept. It's the idea of yourself that you made up since the day you were born. And not only that, he says everybody you know makes up an ego for you. So when I see my mama, I'm not really seeing my mama. I'm seeing the ego, the meaning, the ideas that I've given about my mama. I'm reacting to the concept of my mama that I've made up. And that's what the Course is trying to get you to understand. Your ego isn't real. Your self-concept isn't real. What you think you are isn't real. It's a memory. It's something that you have built up over your lifetime based on your experiences and based on the things you've learned. He said that's all you are. That's all the average human being is. It's just a conglomeration of memories and experiences that they've had since the day they were born, when somebody was telling them who they are, what you should like, what's right, what's wrong, what's good. You know, all your life, it's just everybody's been telling you who you are and how you should be. And then you accept those ideas of yourself, and then you call it you. And you know that's true, because if we went back 10 years, I bet you anything you would say that person back then is not the same person that's sitting in this chair in front of me. Well, you're going to say that 10 years in the future. And go, what I want to do is I want to know my real self. Told us. Well, if you want to know your real self, then you need to realize that you need to learn to stop trusting in your own strength. That's the first thing. Then things will start to work. When my ego tells me, but Earl, if you don't do that, that's going to really mess everything up for you. And the Course is saying to me, no. Now you're ready to actually have your problem solved and to have the blessings I've been promising you. That's all that means. Because you're not making an unrealistic decision, because you already know that you don't know how to answer every situation in every situation. You already know that nothing is said is not. You know you can't predict and control everything and everybody around you. So this is really the most practical teaching that you could ever learn. It's a teaching that can show you you're doing what it's talking about in the very moment you're receiving it. It's not a learning that you got. The Course isn't a learning that is way in the connection keeps coming and going. I can always tell when it's coming through right. I know it because I always have electronic stuff. I always have something that tries to interfere with the message. And that's why I tell people, listen to these classes more than once. Listen to them more than once. Because every time you allow yourself to hear the truth, then you are not trusting in your own strength. And you are finally listening to the guidance that you're getting. So now you are trusting in God's strength. But to get it all cranked up to begin with, your symbolic gesture to show you are sincere would be to say, God is the strength in which I trust. Because then you're going to go ahead and do what you want to do anyway. We always do. No matter what we read or study, in the end we go handle it the way we think we want to. So the Course is saying, go ahead and say this and then handle it the way you think you want to. But what you've really done is created a space for your relationship to your Creator to happen so that you can come under that protection. And to you, it'll seem like some unbelievable, unexpected solution happened in this problem you've been dealing with on your job. Or to look like that situation that they said could not be healed or solved, some kind of way, it just all worked out. And you don't realize it's only because you have allowed yourself to avail yourself with the strength and the protection of God by doing what you are told, which is to tell yourself God is the strength in which you trust. You can't get easier than that, because I'm not asking you to necessarily tell your friends, your neighbors, and your coworkers, so you're not going to get any pushback unless you're talking too much to the wrong people. How can you all give me pushback and you don't even know what I'm thinking? So why would I share something I really want to believe with somebody who would challenge it? It weakens it in both of us. It weakens my belief in the idea and your belief in the idea. You really want to feel the power of a revelation and something you come to realize about yourself that you feel could really make a difference? Don't tell anybody. Unless you are totally confident you feel safe in sharing that with somebody who would embrace and support what you have realized. But to be on the safe side, don't say nothing. And just let them see it work in your life and in your personality. That's what you want. It's like, I'm not going to. Why? Because I don't want to hear your opinion. I don't want to hear your opinion. I don't want to hear your opinion when I know what I want to do. I don't need you to tell me another way to look at it when I already know what I want to do. When I get my guidance from Spirit and I accept it, I don't need your wisdom. I don't need you to tell me anything other than, hey, brother, I'm rejoicing with you that you found your path. Other than that, you're going to be trying to get me on yours. You're going to be telling me what you need to do. And then the book said today, what you need to do is don't trust in your own ego. How do I do that? Well, then you need to learn how to come under God's protection. See, I said loops. The truth loops. It's really cool. So anyway, go to earlpurdy.com. earlpurdy.com. I love you. If you want to share, I would appreciate that. That's fine. That's beautiful. You can use Venmo. You can use Square. What else? The Cash App, PayPal. And I want you to know I appreciate you and I love you. Whether you share financially with me or not, I appreciate you. I love you. You're a blessing to me no matter what. No matter what. God is the strength in which I trust. 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 What a great blessing for the love offering. God is the strength in which I trust. Earl Purdy at earlpurdy.com. Earl Purdy at earlpurdy.com is my email address. I'm available for one-on-one sessions. Have a one-on-one session with me. Have a one-on-one session with me. Have a one-on-one session with me. So that we can together not trust in our own little strength, and through the course and through the truth, you get the real answer to how to deal with that situation that you're dealing with, because you're not so special that you got a problem that God can't solve. You're just not that special that you have some issue that Spirit cannot solve. And I know for those who are drawn to it, within the Course in Miracles is the answer made for you, And after almost 50 years working with it myself, I know I could be helpful to you and help save you time. That's not arrogance, that's the truth. So I'd love to talk to you. Just go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, and you can self-book an appointment with me. You can self-book an appointment, a session with me. And I'm also available for astrological and numerological sessions. YouTube and Facebook. All right, I'm on both of those. And those of you in Denver, 1555 Race Street, 1 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time on Sundays, and this is on Facebook Live also. You're invited to come in person, those of you in this area. Okay, so let's take a breath. I'm going to do a minute for us to close, and I'm going to continue with this lesson. It's such a powerful lesson, but you already heard something today that could be really helpful. So this is the way you do it. Say to yourself, God is the strength. You don't have to say it aloud. God is the strength in which I trust. 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 I trust. God is the strength in which you trust. You trust. God is the strength in which you trust. God is the strength in which you trust. Love 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 is the strength in which I trust. Love is the strength in which I trust. Love is the strength in which I trust. Truth is the strength in which I trust. Truth is the strength in which I trust. The truth is the strength. 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 Truth is the strength in which I trust. Truth is the strength in which I trust. God is truth. God is freedom. So freedom is the strength in which you trust. Freedom. Trust in your freedom. Trust in your freedom. Trust in your freedom. Trust in your freedom. God is the strength in which I trust. Why are you doing that? You're doing that so that you will allow yourself to experience the strength and protection of God. So that every problem you think you have can be, and every facet of any problem or situation you think you have can be solved. That's why you're doing this. That's why you're doing this. So that your problems can be solved and your blessings can be perceived and manifested. That's why you're doing this. God's will for you is perfect, complete, total happiness. The universe wants you to be totally and completely happy and joyful. That's what your Creator wants for you. Do not buy into those old, fearful perceptions of God as a man in the sky that is arbitrarily punishing people for breaking rules that were made up. That's not God according to the course. God is love, infinite. Does it have an idea of itself as you? Yes. God is the strength in which I trust. We trust. Thank you. A lot. 4 times. At least 4 times. Don't forget. Listen to it, watch it at least 4 times, and share it.